Hello again. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have another D&D character creation video. And again, the prompt for this one was pulled from the website whotheFismydndcharacter.com. Pretty cool website, gives you just like a nice little short sentence to work off of. So this character here, I'm going to read out the prompt for you. He is a reluctant dwarf barbarian from the Valley of Giants who is a former bare-knuckle boxer. Which is pretty cool. I love reluctant barbarian, because a lot of times barbarians are a little gung-ho, a little cocky. He's like, I guess I'm here. I guess I'll fight, but I'd rather be at home. I'd rather be doing, literally anything else. But I'm here with my giant two-handed barbarian weapon, so I guess I'll throw down. When it came to designing him, I had a bit of trouble because I typically draw young, cute women. So drawing sort of an older, grizzled, masculine character was a bit difficult, especially with the body proportions, the dwarven proportions, specifically kind of going off of, Tolkien proportions for things. I'm, I guess I'm more inspired by Tolkien, fantasy creatures than just straight up what the D&D lore is. But, I think it works. This is my first time drawing a character like this. And I think he looks cool. I think he looks reluctant. I think he looks strong. And, former bare-knuckle boxer. Later on, I end up giving him a lot of scars on his knuckles. Yeah, you can see me sketching them in now. Specifically his knuckles, but then a couple other scars just around. Like, he's old. He's seen a lot. He's been through it. Now, we're at my favorite part, where I'm just inking things. I love inking because you can just kind of turn off your brain and just go in with that nice crisp line. So that's my favorite part. The sketching is kind of like the part where you have to put the most thought into it, whereas with inking, you already thought about everything. And now you're just going in with that nice, satisfying line. So that's great. So I do his beard and mustache a couple times before I'm happy with it, and I still don't think I'm 100% happy with it, but that's just where we've landed. I'm not super experienced in drawing facial hair. In fact, I cannot think of the last time that I have drawn facial hair, so it's a learning experience. So this series is good for me, drawing things that I normally wouldn't. The first one was just a cute girl, so that one wasn't much experimenting, but this one especially is much more out of my wheelhouse, and I think it, really helped me with my character designing process. Something like that. I did the same thing I did in the last one, with doing all these little lines throughout the hair, just because I think it looks cool. I don't typically do this in my art. Usually I keep the hair more simple, but I just think it looks nice. It looks like a comic book, and that's fun. These hands ended up giving me a lot of difficulty, because I decided to put them in a pose without checking to see if I had a good reference picture in that exact pose, and then I couldn't find a very good reference picture, so kind of ended up with janky hands But I rework them as best that I can. I find some reference pictures, I do my best. But man, I really need to get better at drawing hands, especially masculine, large hands. Like, I feel like they're even a bit too dainty now, you know? Like, ooh, she puts on hand cream. So that's something else that I need to work on. Just all over masculine anything I need to work on. Because I've drawn men, they're just little girly men, and that's fine. But I really need to expand my repertoire. You know, not just going back on what I feel comfortable doing. I need to really push myself. So this piece was a lot of pushing myself. I tried to do fur, and I don't usually draw fur. I don't usually draw a lot of clothing to begin with, just because clothing is difficult. But for a barbarian character, I feel like they usually have some sort of fur going on with their costuming. So I gave him some fur. And I'm not 100% sold on the way that I inked it. It's definitely something that I can improve on in the future, but it works, you know. I feel like you look at it and it's like, oh, she was trying to draw fur. Good for her. So, yeah, it's just another one of those things that I need to work on. But definitely glad that I had the opportunity to practice it here and see what works and what doesn't work. More of what doesn't work than what works, but you know. The two-handed barbarian weapon was difficult for me. I don't usually draw weapons of any kind. I didn't even draw a weapon for the last character. She just had like fire in her hand. So I tried to design a hammer that didn't look too much like a hammer that already existed, but you know, was still like, oh, that's a barbarian hammer. He's a barbarian. He's gonna crush rocks and skulls. So I feel like it looks like that, and I put a Norse symbol on it. I'm not sure why. It's been a hot second since I drew this. I'm recording this voiceover a lot later. But yeah, it made sense to me back then. Here, I'm filling everything in with this horrible, garish red color because I want to make sure I get all of the pixels in between, because no matter how I configure my paintbrush tool or my fill bucket tool, there's always little gaps in the fill. And so by making it a really bright, horrible color like this, I can easily see any of that background poking through the bright, horrible color. So I did my best, and I filled it, and I gave it a nicer color. In terms of the color palette, I went very earthy, which I feel like that's maybe a staple in D&D, sort of medievally looking stuff, even though medieval people in real life wore very colorful clothing. I feel like in D&D and in our modern representation of the past, we put them in very drab colors. And I think it works. You know, he doesn't scream color to me, you know. He's just chilling in his little brown and tan clothes. I made him ginger because I wanted to. Because I saw a lot of them being ginger. So he's ginger. He's gonna have blue eyes. Mostly brown outfit. Pretty similar to the first one I did. But this character, he just kind of fits it. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would be pulling up in bright red or bright yellow. He doesn't really want to be here. Look at that face. He's like, oh, can I just get some beer and leave me alone, maybe. That's my interpretation of what a D&D campaign sounds like. So I just kind of went in and splotched the colors around and then cleaned them up. I'm doing a very simple coloring and shading style for this series. Just going in with the flat colors and then just doing one layer of shading on a multiply layer and just calling it a day. But it's fun. It's it's like doing a coloring book, erasing all these little lines. It's pretty soothing. You put on a video in the background or a movie and you just kind of work through it, and it's pretty enjoyable. Now, we're getting into me coloring the scars, and I had a lot of difficulty with the scars because I wanted to keep the style very simplistic. It's a very simple style. We're not going in and rendering skin details, but I thought the scars were important, so I put them on as just the block colors, and it didn't really look like scarring. It looked maybe like vitiligo or something. So now that I'm going in with the shading color, I went in specifically on the scars and gave them like a ropey raised texture. It's very subtle, but I think it adds to it. Makes it look not just like a flat piece of skin, rather it's a raised scar. And it's like, ugh. But I did that exclusively with the shading color to keep it simple, but still give it that little bit of detail. And on an unrelated note, those eyes are so beautiful. He's staring into my soul. Beautiful. But yeah, you can see more on the bigger scar. I went in just drawing lines to make it look ridged and gross. I don't know. I don't think scars are gross, but adding details when the rest of the piece is very simplistic makes something look gross. Here I'm just adding in the background, and we're done. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye!